Hi and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing the recently released book by Nita Prose called The Maid. The Maid is a whodunit and it was released in New Zealand I think on the 2nd of February, so we are looking at it having been released for approximately 20 days. So I won't be giving away any spoilers or spilling the beans on any major parts of the plot, just in case you haven't read it. So, setting. The story is set in the Regency Grand Hotel. Where is the Regency Grand Hotel, you ask? Not sure. It's not mentioned in the book. Character rundown. Firstly, we have Molly, the leading lady. She is the maid that finds the dead body in one of the hotel rooms. Mr. Preston, the doorman. He's a dear old man who... Old? Is he old? Yeah. Anyway, he cares deeply for Molly. It's all very cute. Then we have Rodney, the head bartender. He is described as being quite attractive, wears a Rolex, and Molly seems to be under the impression that they're dating. However, it becomes clear from the first few chapters that that might not actually be the case. We've all been there. Then we have Juan Manuel, who works in the kitchen. Juan is an immigrant and he works to send money to his family. Then we have Mr. Snow, the owner of the Regency Grand, and not to be confused with President Snow from the Hunger Games, who I was picturing the entire time. Then we have Mr. Black, the dead guy. Mr. Black is a big business empire and his family also get briefly mentioned. He's got an ex-wife, 2 sons and a daughter. Then we have Giselle, who in my head was Gazelle until I said it out loud and realised that's an antelope. Giselle is Mr. Black's second wife, and Molly has formed a bit of a friendship with Giselle over the years of cleaning Giselle and Mr. Black's hotel room because they are regular guests. Then we have Sunshine, the smiley maid, Sunitha, the quiet maid, and Cheryl, otherwise known as Chernobyl, the head maid. So honing in on Molly a wee bit, she is 25 years of age, which means that I'm now officially older than the book characters that I'm reading about. Anyway, being a maid at the Regency Grand is Molly's dream job, just like others might dream of being a doctor or a lawyer. And she loves cleaning. Like, she'd be huge on cleaning TikTok if she made a go of it. And Molly actually enjoys putting her maid uniform on because it makes her feel invisible, in her words. We eventually find out that there are, of course, many unsavoury things happening at the Regency Grand Hotel. However, Molly sees the hotel through rose-tinted glasses and even compares her experience of entering the hotel to Dorothy entering Oz. How nice. Personality-wise, I would guess that Molly is on the autism spectrum. And if you've read Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman, then I think this is quite a good character comparison. I thought Molly and Eleanor were pretty similar characters. So what that means is Molly has difficult interpreting social cues. She often acts how she's been taught to act rather than how she would naturally act. And she thinks very logically, and this sometimes gets misconstrued by the other characters and comes off as a little bit odd. For example, she thinks about a joke and smiles while the cops are questioning her about the dead body she found. Molly's background is that her father disappeared when she was a, quote, wee biscuit, and her mother died around the same time. So Molly's gran was largely responsible for Molly's upbringing, and she seems to have taught Molly just about everything Molly knows about interpreting other humans' behaviour. So moving on to some of my thoughts about the book, I definitely feel that a lot of time was spent focusing on Molly's inner dialogue and her thoughts and how she processes everything that's happening around her very thoroughly. And usually I'm not really a fan of that sort of thing because I'm just like, okay, let's get to the bit where something actually happens. And that's actually how I felt for most of Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. But I thought that this book kind of managed to have that really relaxed and thoughtful and humorous tone, but without being too boring. Because there were always new developments about that dead guy, which were being drip-fed to us throughout. And there's an avocado stain on the bottom of my book, so that suggests that I kept reading while eating at one point, which is a good sign. So yeah, I was entertained, but I wouldn't say that this is a super fast-paced and thrilling whodunit. Definitely didn't increase my heart rate at any point, which is good for my asthma, but I do kind of wish there was a little bit more intensity at times and some real moments. Because that's kind of what I look for in a crime thriller novel, which is the classification on the sticker. So it was just a bit different to what I expected. Another little niggle that I had was I thought that the way everything came together was a little bit too convenient, and the big murder reveal wasn't super groundbreaking, but obviously I'm not going to say anything more on that. Something that I really loved about the book was Molly. And I thought the book was really great from a character development perspective. Molly is really trusting and ends up getting caught out by some really obvious lies, and she ends up getting taken advantage of by people. She gets bullied and called names, and it's just because of the fact that she's a bit different and a vulnerable member of the community. So I think it's a pretty in-depth representation of the realities of how people treat other people who are different, which isn't very good. But Molly and her relationships with other people developed and changed so much from the start of the novel to the end, and she evolved so much as a character. She goes through the absolute ringer, TBH, but ends up proving that she is a lot more capable than these people give her credit for. She handles it like a boss, which is lovely. She went from a little duckling to a swan, a branch to a blossom. So yeah, overall, I think it was more focused on Molly than the murder mystery itself, which made for an entertaining and quite charming read, as opposed to an exciting thriller kind of vibe. But I definitely wasn't bored, avocado, and I do think it's worth a read. So yeah, give it a crack. If you have read it and you have any thoughts on it, please let me know. I'm always interested to hear what other people think and whether I'm completely off with my judgment. But yes, enjoy the rest of your day, and like and subscribe for more. I'll see you next time. Bye!